immigration law is.
Hello and welcome. I'm Suma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party is set to secure a strong majority in election as exit polls show that LDP is expected to win 274 to 328 seats. Sohei Kamiya, leader of the far-right Sanseito Party, acknowledges the group's limited progress while the party had hoped for greater results. Kamiya has noted that they had put down firmer roots compared to a year and a half ago. Shunichi Suzuki, Secretary General of the Liberal Democratic Party, highlights the support for Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's fiscal and defense policies, claiming the party received backing for Takaichi's responsible, proactive fiscal policies and a strengthening of national defense capabilities. A preliminary vote count shows the Bumjai Thai party of Anutin, the Thai Prime Minister, making the early headway with 15.15% of eligible votes counted. They have the lead over the Progressive People's Party and the former ruling party Pheu Thai. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has condemned anti-Olympics protesters as enemies of Italy after violence erupted in Milan and sabotage attacks hit the national rail network on the first full day of the Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games, prompting the International Olympic Committee to say violence has no place at the Games. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan held bilateral talks in Dar es Salaam to boost cooperation, highlighting the $5 billion East African crude oil pipeline project set to start exporting oil on July, with the meeting marking Museveni's first foreign visit since winning a seventh term. Iran describes Oman-mediated indirect talks with the United States as a positive step towards nuclear negotiations, while emphasizing that it's a non-negotiable that talks will remain not on its missile program. According to Chinese state media, 8 people were killed in a blast at a biotechnology factory in central China early Saturday. While officials said rescue operations have ended, the company's legal representative has been taken into police custody. And authorities are now investigating the cause of the incident. Now we start this hour with Japan. According to Japan's exit polls, Japanese Conservative Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi is on track for a landslide victory in high-stakes snap election. The polls suggest Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, could win between 274 and 326 seats out of 465 seats in the lower house, securing a clear majority. With her coalition partner Ishin, their combined total may top 300 seats. If the LDP wins 310 or more seats, it would gain a two-thirds supermajority, giving Takaichi's party the power to propose constitutional amendments. Takaichi called the snap election to gain public backing for her agenda, including boosting Japan's defense capabilities and increasing the country's influence on the global stage. The vote came amid freezing winter temperatures, and turnout reflected strong engagement from young voters, many drawn to Takaichi's energetic style and social media presence. Takaichi has openly challenged China on Taiwan, drawing nationalist support at home but criticism abroad. Now for this, we welcome Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi. He's a former advisor to late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Dr. Taniguchi, for joining us again. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Now, how does this Prime Minister Takaichi's strong stance on defense spending and military readiness, how do you think all of this, including her stance towards China on Taiwan issue and her friendship with President Trump, how do you think all of this has combined, or how do you think all of this has affected the voter turnout and maybe her win on this election?
First, vote counts have been still going on, but early results strongly indicate that we are witnessing the most astounding results ever recorded in Japan's post-war history. So Takaichi has succeeded in building her own credibility by winning not just big, by winning superbly big. So voters, it seems, have chosen to endorse Takaichi not necessarily based on piecemeal policy agendas, but more on the hope that this person, Takaichi, could somehow make a difference that has been long overdue. The difference may be on the fiscal front, maybe on the national security front, as you said, or on the front of diplomatic efforts vis-a-vis China or vis-a-vis the United States. So overall, this has been a short drama, initiated, written, directed, and brought to success by a single individual, Takaichi.
Thank you for highlighting that. And what do you think, what are the implications of Takaichi's position on Taiwan for Japan's security policy? And how do you think, how might this affect Japan's relationship with both China and the United States?
On Taiwan, this is not going to be giving a short-term effect of any kind. The fact is, Takaichi has succeeded in presenting her image as a very strong and determined leader, and that sign and message, she hopes, has been well received by President Xi of the PRC. Ironically, it takes you to be very much robust, formidable, strong to successfully deal with your gigantic neighbor, in this case, China. Something similar can be made about Japan-US relationship, because right now the United States is being headed by an individual, the leader, who has got a tendency to that he wants to deal directly with someone very much strong, and Takaichi has proven to be fit into that category as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taniguchi, for sharing that. Please stay with us. Now, Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi, leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, has been seen smiling and celebrating with party officials following the release of exit polls that predict a major victory for her party in the general election. As the results came in, Takaichi and her team marked the success of each winning candidate by placing a red paper rose on their names at the top at the LDP headquarters, in keeping with a traditional Japanese custom. A large whiteboard which lists the names of all LDP candidates gradually filled up with red roses next to the names of those declared victorious. This symbolic gesture has become a staple of election night celebrations in Japan, as the LDP looks set to secure a commanding majority in the 465-member lower house of parliament. Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi says she will pursue a responsible fiscal policy following projections showing her party's win in snap lower house elections. Speaking to reporters, Takaichi has stressed the importance of sustainable and proactive fiscal planning. She said the government would prioritize fiscal sustainability while ensuring necessary investments, calling on both the public and private sectors to contribute. Takaichi has added that her administration aims to build a strong and resilient economy. Now we welcome back Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi. He's joining us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for staying with us. Now, given Japan's Given Japan's mounting debt and the expansionary fiscal policies implemented by Takaichi, how do you think, how sustainable are her economic reforms in the long run, particularly in addressing rising inflation and economic stagnation?
Certainly, Takaichi's administration is going to face the same very much challenging environment in which anyone would find it very much difficult to strike a very fine balance between those two mutually contradicting factors. But the bottom line is Takaichi has sold a platform to voters successfully that her policy is not going to continue as frugality first or austerity first and growth second. She is going to be committing in making Japan's fiscal and growth policies very much sharply focused on enhancing growth. And her idea is that by igniting growth and only by igniting growth, you could expect increased tax revenues. And that tax revenues would somehow put the ballooning Japanese government deficit under control. So far, Takaichi has been more successful than many pundits have originally argued. But if she could continue that momentum, of course, is an open question. But the very capital she wanted to need, that is political capital, is now in ample supply. So she is going to use it rather carefully because she's now eyeing 3 years from now, where the upper house election is going to take place. Only by winning supermajority in the upper house, now she and her administration could propose one of the most pertinent and pending issues of changing Japan's constitution.
Thank you for highlighting that. Dr. Taniguchi, please stay with us. Now we take another breaking news. Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi has confirmed that her party, the Liberal Democratic Party, will continue its coalition with the Japan Innovation Party, or ISHIN, following a strong performance in the country's general elections. Speaking from the LDP headquarters in Tokyo, Takaichi stated that this supermajority would give the coalition significant control over the legislative process, allowing Takaichi to push forward her policy agenda with greater ease. Now we welcome back Dr. Taniguchi for this. Dr. Taniguchi, thank you very much for staying with us. How do you think, this LDP's coalition has played in with these results that we are seeing now? And do you think this was a wise, good idea for them to do this last year? And as you said, this Takaichi has been about fiscal policies and many things. She has been more successful than some initially argued. What challenges does she and this coalition party they together face this time?
The challenges are the ones that any leader, whoever that may be in Japan, must continue to face up to. That is the rewriting of Japan's national social contract. Japan's social contract has been very much focused on helping support the senior citizens by providing more welfare provision to the elderly population. And Takaichi has mentioned many times that her administration is going to put more focus and resources on the youth. So how could she do that while looking at the pie, i.e. the Japan's budget, that's not going to become larger anytime soon. So growth comes slowly, and the challenge is mounting. So in order to cut a very good balance between those two factors, Takaichi eagerly wanted to increase her own capital base, which it seems that she has been successfully doing now.
Thank you for highlighting that, Dr. Taniguchi. Please stay with us. Now we have more updates coming in from Japan. George Edward Glass, the U.S. ambassador to Japan, congratulated Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi on her impressive win, expressing his eagerness to deepen ties with her government. His remarks came after President Donald Trump had earlier endorsed Takaichi in strong terms, highlighting the continued support between the two nations. Now we stay on this. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has congratulated Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi as well, following exit polls projecting her party's clear victory in the lower house elections. Lai has called Takaichi's win a sign of public trust and strong expectations in her leadership. He has said that he looks forward to working closely with Japan to face regional challenges and promote peace and prosperity across the Indo-Pacific. He has praised the LDP's majority as an endorsement of Takaichi's vision and an effort to advance Japan's long-term development. Now we welcome back Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi. Thank you very much, Dr. Taniguchi, for staying with us. Now, how significant are these election results or the expected win for the broader geopolitical landscape?
Japan has become very much visible under Shinzo Abe.
Yes.
And then it slowly entered into invisible area. And Takaichi is getting a huge amount of attentions. Number one, she is the first ever female prime minister in Japan's history. And number two, this stunning, astounding victory that all democratic government leaders dream of. So Takaichi is going to capture more attentions rather than less from abroad, and she must carefully use that diplomatic capital that she herself has succeeded in increasing to enhance Japan's strategic space.
With that, I would like to thank Dr. Taniguchi for joining us and sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Thank you very much. Now, in terms of Japan's, now we move on to our next news. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt has reopened today after a 2-day closure, allowing only a limited number of Palestinians to travel between the two countries. This is the first opening since February 2024, which is seen as a crucial development as part of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement. While the opening allows for medical travel, Palestinian officials report that many still face significant delays and claim mistreatment, particularly from Israeli forces and also Palestinian armed groups like Abu Shabaab. Moreover, as the crossing is a vital lifeline, officials estimate that nearly 20,000 Palestinians in Gaza are seeking medical care abroad. In the face of these challenges, several truck drivers at the Rafah crossing have reported that Israel refused to allow aid to be unloaded. Let's now hear it from a few individuals who have experienced these traversals firsthand.
المواد الغذائية في بيرجع منها لعب الأطفال، الأدوات المكتبية، في حاجات كتير بترجع يعني الخيم، الحاجات دي كلها بيرجعوها.
وبقى لنا شهر هنا وكل ما نخش للجانب الإسرائيلي يلففونا ويرجعونا، يقول لك طحين له طحين مصر، والجانب الإسرائيلي هو اللي منع العجل من دخول المساعدات لاخواتنا في فلسطين، واحنا بقى لنا شهر 30 يوم.
كل ما نيجي نخش المعبر يقول لفهم دبليه
محمل سله غذائيه جايه من نويبع، داخلين بقى غزه، وخشيت بقى دلوقتي 7 مرات. كل مره اخش ما عدتش ارجع تاني. طب ليه يا جدعان؟ يقول لك البضاعه ديت عشان من تركيا.
Now for this, we welcome Professor David K. Johnston. He's a professor at Rochester Institute of Technology, joins us live from New York. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, thank you. Now, as we see this Rafah crossing is opening up slowly, of course, it's very slow. How do you think the involvement of many parties involving like Israel, Egypt, and Palestinian groups are complicating this movement of aid as well as people through this crossing?
Well, the Israeli government has, of course, treated Palestinians with incredible hostility for decades. When I was in the Middle East to give a keynote address to an investigative reporting conference at the Dead Sea on the Jordanian side, the other keynote speaker wasn't allowed to cross a bridge to come there, which would have been 10 miles. a total trip. They made him drive through the Syrian war zone. And here you have 20,000, you mentioned some other estimates, 30,000 plus Palestinians who want to get medical care in Egypt or elsewhere that's not available in Gaza. And the Israelis are not letting them and their companions leave. They let fewer than 100 people out before they had the roughly 48-hour shutdown of the Rafah crossing. And of course, many of the truck drivers say that not only were they refused either entry or unloading, but they were gratuitously insulted. This is part of Netanyahu's strategy, and unfortunately, it is slowly turning Israel into a pariah state. And we are seeing around the world young people who don't have a full experience of the history of Israel since the end of World War II, not appreciating its position in the world and turning against Israel. And a lot of that seems to be Netanyahu's fault for mishandling this situation.
Do you think there is any other opposition party or leader who can make things peaceful between Israel and Gaza and you know, after post-war, or smoothen out this post-war reconstruction, even the people-to-people instruction? Yes.
Well, you'll notice that the plans, as discussed at least by Donald Trump and the people around him, don't involve the Palestinians. It's we will do what we're going to do in your territory. And secondly, Netanyahu, with this excessive response to October 7th, absolutely horrific event on October 7th, but the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, now acknowledge that, yeah, about 71,000 Gazan casualties in the occupation. They have created a new generation of people who are going to be hostile to the Israelis. And there seems to not be an appreciation by Netanyahu to think long term, to think when the day will come that he will not be in office, and to focus entirely on his efforts to stay in office. And of course, you know, he's in a suspended criminal trial for corruption. So the conditions in some ways have been made worse, and long-term enmities have been extended because of the way that Netanyahu's chosen to deal with this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Professor, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us. Thank you very much. Now we have a breaking news. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, has resigned amid growing controversy over the appointment of Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States. The decision has sparked outrage after files revealed Mandelson's connections to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. McSweeney, who helped guide Starmer to victory in the 2024 election, said he takes full responsibility for advising the Prime Minister on Mandelson's posting. He has called the decision wrong and said it has damaged the party, the country, and public trust in politics. This marks a major political shake-up for Starmer, who is facing mounting pressure as the fallout from the Mandelson appointment continues to unfold. Now we move on to Romania. Romanian President Nicolae Dan has confirmed that he has been invited to attend the inaugural meeting of U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace on February 19th in Washington. However, Romania has not yet decided whether to participate. The decision will depend on discussions with U.S. partners regarding the meeting's format, particularly for countries like Romania, which are not currently members of the board, but are interested in joining, provided the charter is revised. Meanwhile, the discussions will focus on ensuring the board is more inclusive for countries that wish to participate. Now we welcome back Professor David K. Johnston. He's joining us live from New York. Thank you very much, Professor, for staying with us. Now, what does Romania's hesitation tell us about concerns over the structure and credibility of Board of Peace, and what message might Trump be sending by inviting non-member countries like Romania?
Well, Donald Trump's Board of Peace seems to be an effort by him to supplant the United Nations, but it invests him with all power. He alone will decide the agenda. He alone will decide spending. He alone will decide on the creation of entities, if any, projects to be carried out by the so-called Board of Peace. And for permanent members, the buy-in is $1 billion. Now, Romania has not been invited to be a permanent member, but if it was, that's close to 1 day's economic output for the entire country of Romania. To them, it is a great deal of money, whereas in the US, $1 billion is not a big deal in terms of government spending. And we've seen a number of countries decline to be involved, Norway, Italy, and France among them, because they see this simply as a vehicle for Donald Trump to expand his partially consolidated dictatorship in the United States into what he himself has said, which is he wants a world dictatorship. As he said, I run the world.
Right. Now, how might participation or non-participation affect Romania's strategic relationship with the U.S.?
Well, that is a really important question here. The Romanians, remember, lived under the boot of the Kremlin for most of a century. And there is a great deal of concern in all the Eastern European countries that if Putin is not stopped or he gets a resolution of the Ukrainian war that strengthens his position, that it's just a matter of time before the Russian tanks roll into countries like Romania. They are not interested in living under the boot of the Kremlin again. And so Romania has to balance Donald's mercurial nature, something I've been reporting on for almost 40 years, with the eye they have to keep on Moscow. And this is not an easy decision, even though it's just an invitation to attend, not to join, not to be a member, just to attend. What happens if you provoke Trump's wrath? What happens if instead you provoke Putin's wrath when he decides where he will invade next, assuming he isn't stopped in Ukraine?
With that, I'd like to thank Professor David Johnston for joining us today and sharing that insight with us. Now, that's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.